Let me jump right in here. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to see why I wasn't up on Twitch, and I had what I thought was a pretty sweet little kind of semi-provocative title. Nothing huge. It was "Bless you, Senator Blackburn, you magnificent moron." And the only reason I added the magnificent moron thing was that I thought some of the folks that were in my regular chat room might react negatively and not get that I was being ironic, which I don't understand, but okay. And in that process, I just kind of added the little, tickly addendum to the end of it. And it wouldn't go through on Twitch. So I changed the name of my stream to hello, and wouldn't you know it, popped right the hell on. Yeah, that was pretty great. So let me grab the video that I was sort of referencing in this, and man, there's a whole lot of dumb today. Who watched? Okay, hold on. While I'm looking this up, chat room. Who among you watched Trump's weird little response to the plane crash? Because it's a terrible thing. In many ways, a 1 in a million situation. As many of you know, I have family FaceTime on Thursday, so that's why the show's an hour later. Why it starts an hour later. And I was talking to my son, and I was like, we were talking about this, obviously, and he had seen Trump's response and was grossed out by it. And one of the things I wanted to get across to him, I was like, well, what would you do in a similar situation? How would you respond? What would you say in these circumstances? And he said a few things like, that he would reassure people. He also said he would give support to people who couldn't afford burial services, which I thought was an interesting little addendum. That was something he came up with on his own in this particular situation. But on top of it, one of the things, he was talking about is like, we're going to do everything we can to make sure this doesn't happen again. And I went, you do realize that on the one hand, you could batten down the hatches, change everything about this, and 2 weeks from now have a similar situation because it's such an anomaly that it was because it looks like, and we'll see, again, you don't know, there's so many moving parts in this circumstance that you can't actually say, all those areas that we work on and making sure planes are safe and other stuff, we're going to change all those things and make them better. That won't necessarily rule out the possibility of it happening. It's just the best you could do in that circumstance. You could do all those things and it could happen again in a few weeks. And you could do nothing and it never happens again. It's another 10 years that people's own sense of, oh my God, something happened, polices them internally, and they make sure that, it's kind of like that idea that the best time to go to a restaurant is right after it's reopened, after being shut down by the health department, because that's the cleanest it has ever been, right? That you could literally do nothing, and that special circumstance, all the confluences, all those things could come together, would never come together at that kind of moment again. You understand what I'm saying? It's a crucial part of the conversation, that you could do everything you can and it could still happen, and you could do nothing at all and it might never happen again because there are so many moving parts. So this illusion of complexity, or the illusion of a lack of complexity, that there are simple solutions for it, that in and of itself can create this farce in your head. Now, those of you that are following my Substack, I just posted my first true post on there, and it went out right before the show, or I don't know, I scheduled it to go out a few minutes ago. Anyways, it's about the stroke of the pen fallacy. And I've talked about this a lot, but I figured I better get it on the record as something I thought up and get it out there, because it's a really important part of the conversation. And for those of you that don't know, and I think we're going to be up on, that's what we need to do. For those of you that are that have never heard it before, the concept is that there is an illusion that you could solve a lot of problems, but that there are people in power who can solve every problem that we have, or even some major ones, simply by the stroke of a pen. They could simply, if they would just sign an executive order, or they just sign this one thing, or they just write one check, this would solve all of this, it would solve this problem, whatever it is. Any homelessness, the nuclear threat, Iran, whatever it is. Like there's people who believe that the president of the United States or the leader of organizations or the head of a company or whatever believe that through the simple stroke of a pen, you could get rid of this problem. Now, there's two primary follow-on problems with that. There is no flappers tonight. Sorry, guys. They had to punt it again. So the first one will be next month. I apologize for the shift around. There are two areas. The problem with this idea is that it automatically assumes two things. You have to decide, whoever you believe this about, because it's impossible, because they can't actually sign it away. You can't actually magically make the problem go away with a stroke of a pen. Okay? Because that's not possible, it forces the person who believes it to come up with two possible solutions in this circumstance. One being that, and they're all about the motivation of the person who is refusing to do this impossible thing. And the primary one is that they're stupid. TYT does this all the time, and so does Donald Trump. They both go, these people could just fix this so easily. They're so fucking stupid. They're just stupid. If they just did this, the whole thing would be better, right? That's the primary one. The problem with the stupid concept is you can't believe it for long, because at some point they've heard you. So stupid, what they really mean is ignorant, because stupid is knowing and not doing anyways, or knowing something and doing something anyways, even though it will be damaging. Once you know after a certain amount of time has passed that they're not stupid, then the only logical conclusion is that they're evil. Right? The only logical conclusion is that they're not signing it, not because they're dumb and they don't know, but because they don't want to solve the problem. They're making money from the problem, or they like the problem, or they hate the people that this problem affects. You follow me so far? So concept one is that they're dumb. Concept two is that they're evil. And if you start at two, you need to go no further. If you start at one, you will ultimately arrive at concept two. You will ultimately come to the conclusion that they're doing it because they haven't done it yet because they're evil, because they know about it. You've said it a bunch of times. All they have to do is do this to fix it. And if they're not doing that, even though, again, the reason they're not doing it is because it's fucking impossible, but you're leaving that unfalsifiable problem out. I have a cat hair on my lash because I've been cat snuggling. There, I admit it. That you will come to the conclusion that they are evil. Now, here's the issue. A lot of people know, outside of whoever's clamoring about this, slacktivists, activists, faux-aggressives, maggots, whoever they are, they know it's not that easy. Most of the people around it know it's not that easy. Right? Somebody just said, until you come up with a why, you can't come up with a fix. No, that's not necessarily true. You can have a why or not. I mean, you got to know there's a gap there. If you're whatever the premise is, comes with a why. We need to solve homelessness because people can't live on the street. That's the why. The question is, how do you do it? You throw them in jail, or do you give them a free house, or do you charge them less rent, or do you leave them on their own to kind of pull themselves up? Right. That's when you get into the solution matrix of it, and that's why there are no partisan issues, only partisan solutions, and not all solutions are partisan. And it's very important to talk in those terms. So the issue with the stroke of the pen fallacy, and the ultimate belief that it makes you believe that if not the person you voted for, but someone behind them is evil for not doing this, even though it is not, and I want to be real clear on this, it is not easily solvable. whatever this is. I'm talking about complex issues that people think can be solved in a simple way. That once you believe that about that person, you believe that they are evil or they're being controlled by evil people. You hear this shit all the time. Yes, Brianna Joy Gray is one of those folks, as is or was Jimmy Dore. I don't know what the fuck he believes actually anymore. There's a ton of folks, that believe it. That's why I wrote it up, because it's not a partisan idea. It's not a partisan problem even. So ultimately, though, you've got this issue. What will result from it? You will either be enraged and pushed towards a violent revolution, which I believe is the 6-minute abs of democracy. It's bullshit. We already have a functioning system. It just takes more work to make it work right. And like a revolution would go, let's go back to monarchy. It's just fucking dumb. But there are people who throw that shit around. But the vast majority of people will either be victims of the people who sell lazy solutions like TYT, or fucking Newsmax for that matter, or they'll just disengage. And I think one of the issues that Democrats had, whether it was Israel, Gaza, or like Ukraine and Russia, or it was Trump's legal things or whatever, it was that there was an oversimplification by a lot of people, that have far more reach than I do. Is that they were coaxed into believing that there was a simple solution. And so at a certain point, if you don't enact that simple solution, you're no good. You're evil. You're bad. Right? Okay. Now, there is, let me find the video I was talking about. That's in I put that in the Substack because I needed people to kind of articulate that as a thing.